What's up, guys? Jeremy Conn back with you with another podcast. It's the Lowdown. Please click the like, subscribe, and if you click the notification button, that will tell you anytime we post one of these. I try to update once this is posted in the morning since I am recording a Tuesday podcast on a Monday. I haven't seen any of the games, how they finished. A lot of times I'll start talking about what I liked on that Monday or that day that I'm recording it, and then you guys get to see how things finished up. We've had a interesting weekend. Is Sunday I went 2-1-2. And the Red Sox did me dirty with the 4 runs in the 8th inning. It ended up being a push, but it's hard to complain when I had the White Sox over and I got 1 run in the 9th to help me get the push. I mean, I guess I could complain about that game. If you guys watch games and you're seeing runners on just like nonstop and they're not scoring, I brought up that Phillies game the other day, but it ended up going over anyway. But some bad base running, dumb things that go on. Like I watched, I think it was the Pirates. Was it O'Neal Cruz was on third? Somebody really fast was on third. And the ball, it's 1 out. The ball's popped up to the outfield. And he goes halfway on third. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? Who told you to go halfway? Like even if it's a short fly ball, you're good enough to tag up and score from there. But yeah, I mean, you still see that on a daily basis. Outfielders forgetting how many outs are in the game, or in that inning. Ramon Laureano. You have a lot of things that you could point at and go, man, that sucked. Some things are just out of your control. Or if you just get the proverbial, hey, we're down 6-0. I'm not going to throw my best bullpen pieces. Let me just throw out some gas cans. And if you had the over, you're probably feeling good. If you had the under, you're pissed. So you get a lot of that. I'm going to jump into these games. I think we have 4 interesting games here today. One of which still has a pitcher to be determined, but we'll get to that when the time comes because I don't know that it's going to matter that much. One of the other things, like for Monday, some of the things that I liked, I was all over Bybee over strikeouts, Kirby over strikeouts. I liked Birdsong under. I had a couple of prop plays these are the guys that were all expected that I thought were interesting to go over 2 total bases. Pozo and Walker were the only 2 I picked from the St. Louis game because, I mean, projections and cores, they're ridiculous. I mean, sometimes it's hard to even look at because if you get in there and you get 2 walks, yeah, that's going to eliminate opportunities for you to get 2 bases. I mean, I've had so many times. I think every time I've bet Trey Turner over, he's walked 2 or 3 times in said game and got 1 base hit. And that base hit, well, it was a single. And, you need over 1.5. So, some of the other guys that were really, I mean, Ohtani and Judge always look good, but you got to look at the price tag you're going to pay. Ketel Marte jumped off the board. Junior Caminero, Yandy Diaz, Byron Buxton, Ronald Acuna Jr., Rafael Devers in the same game. I loved the Braves over on Monday. It was my top play. Just thought it was just a really, really good spot for hitters. And then even looking at the pitching matchup, Hayden Birdsong hadn't pitched in 2 weeks. He's pitched against – I like that he pitched against the Braves twice, and both games he was okay. He had 5 Ks in each. I still like him to go under his 4.5 prop on Monday. But, I look, this is trying to find the right spots, and I feel like with the way that Atlanta Stadium goes and when it's hot there and when it's humid, the ball carries and flies out of that ballpark, and with a lot of home run hitters – I think the Braves over was the best play on the board Monday. We'll see if I look like an idiot or I don't know that I ever look like a genius, but it is what it is. All right, let's get to today's games. You guys don't want to hear me pontificate anymore. Here's what we have. We're going to start off with my Birds. The Orioles are at the Guardians. Interesting matchup because these are 2 pitchers that maybe you don't know a ton about. We have Brandon Young for the Orioles and Joey Cantillo for the Guardians. Now, wind is in at about 8 miles an hour. It's in the mid-70s. We've talked about this. Last week, I was on the Guardians over the weekend. Their games to go over against the A's. I'm not saying every game, but I think I went 2-0 in the ones that I played. I also, you look at this Cleveland team, they are wanting from an offensive standpoint. Like, it's Jose Ramirez, Stephen Kwan being, basically a singles hitter, but really good at it. And if the top of the lineup's not getting you much, that bottom of the lineup looks, just gross. It just makes you wonder, like, why can't Cleveland get in on some smaller trade chips and grab some pieces to try to make that lineup look a little bit better this year? But we'll see what they do at the deadline. I think this is an underplay. And if you haven't watched Brandon Young, he had an immaculate inning the other day, so he does have strikeout ability. But what tends to happen with Brandon Young is it's the one inning. he pitches 3 great innings, and then he gives up 4 runs in 1 inning. And if he's able to stay in, he might go to the 5th inning and get your 5, but he gave up 3 or 4 runs. He does have the ability to hit a lot of bats, and because he's young, you will see that if he's not hitting his spots. But he does have good strikeout stuff. Excuse me, I get choked up when I talk about Brandon Young. I don't even know what just happened there. But with this O's-Guardians game, I would still lean under. I mean, these are 2 teams offensively that have struggled for a good portion of this year. I have no idea what's happened to the Orioles' bats. I mean, Gunnar looks like he lost his power. Adley forgot how to hit. Colton Cowser's on-base percentage is trash right now. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great pieces here that I think are going to be really good, but they all turned out to be questionable at best for a good portion of this season. So, but I do think the under is a good play. That's where I would lean. On to the Cincinnati Reds at the Washington Nationals. The wind is in at about 5 miles an hour. 88 degrees. It's Brad Lord against Chase Burns. If you guys have been watching Chase Burns, he was one of the top, or he is, should I call him the top pitching prospect in baseball? Because I think he was at one time. And after watching Mizorowski pitch, you might go, well, he should have been. He was up there with him. There's a handful of guys we could talk about. But Chase Burns has great strikeout stuff. There are strikeouts in this Nats lineup. As I've said, I worry about them nickel and diming you and stealing bases more so than the power in the Nats lineup. Because it's James Wood, and you're hoping somebody else runs into one. When you look at it, C.J. Abrams might be their best. I'm trying to think if I'm missing someone, their next best home run hitter. I'm going to say take the under here as well. I'm going to lean towards that. Chase Burns, he's brought his ERA down, and I think you're going to see him start to figure this out because he's a guy that I thought was a can't-miss prospect. He had a little scuffling here, and I think he's going to figure it out. But this Nats team does not worry you. And, I mean, it is 88 degrees, but the wind's blowing in, and I think that will help. That's why I'm leaning under. Now, the game where we don't have a starting pitcher listed for the White Sox, but I ask you, does it matter? It's almost like in The Hangover. Did you die? I mean, this White Sox team scored a boatload, and I mean a boatload of runs against the Pirates. Now they go to a more favorable hitting situation in Tampa Bay. And by the way, the hitting situation was good all weekend in Pittsburgh. My weather algorithm had them over in all 3 games, and I think all 3 games went over. You look at this spot, I'm going to tell you to take the over again. It's Drew Rasmussen, and, it's been a little bit of a layoff for him, so we'll see what he looks like against this White Sox team that's swinging the bat well. There's a couple of journeymen in that White Sox lineup, but there are some younger players that they got back in trades. What's one of the guys they got back in the Garrett Crochet deal has been batting up at the top of the lineup. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name right now. But this White Sox team, not a lot of household names, but they were scoring runs. I think they can scratch out some against Rasmussen, but honestly, I'm going to be looking for whoever the White Sox trot out there. They don't have a good bullpen. They don't have good starters. And again, I don't think it's going to matter. The wind's blowing out at 8 miles an hour. It's 96 degrees there. Whew. And it's very humid. The over looks like a solid play. It's something that, as soon as I find out who the other starting pitcher is, I'm saying it doesn't matter. But of course, it's going to matter what route they're taking. It might change the way you bet it, or the line just may be out of hand and not want to go that route. But I would lean towards the over in this matchup. Final play, this is an interesting one. We've got the L.A. Angels at the New York Mets. Wind is in at about 9 miles an hour, and it's 80 degrees there. Frankie Montas, who's been hitting a lot of bats, does have K ability. And I've said this numerous times. You guys hear me talk about the teams that strike out the most and the ones that don't. The Angels strike out more than anyone in baseball. So if Montas is on one and he's home, you have to like that. On the flip side, Kyle Hendricks is going, and you're going to go, yuck. But what does Kyle Hendricks do? He gets ground balls. He does not strike out a lot of guys unless I tell you he's not a strikeout pitcher. And then in that said game that night, he'll strike out 10 like he did earlier this year and made me look like an idiot. But he is not a strikeout pitcher. But with the wind blowing in, I think that can limit some of the fly balls. It is a big ballpark too. I'm going to tell you my free play is on the under with the Angels and Mets. And again, Frankie Montas is going to start to figure this out. He's a good pitcher. He's just coming off of an injury. And the same thing with Kyle Hendricks here. It's more about his makeup, not the pitcher, with the conditions around him that I think he can keep them in the game and help keep this Mets team off the board. Got to find out, too, about Pete Alonso, how much time he might end up missing as he missed Sunday's game. I'm not sure of the severity of his injury. I think it's a wrist injury, so we shall see. But again, my free play is going to be on the under with the Angels and Mets. Guys, appreciate you checking this out. I know this is a little shorter than some of the podcasts we've been doing. We have some cool things coming up. You still have Christmas in July over at pickdawgz.com. You can go over there and check out all the premium plays. If I like a slate, I'll put up 5 picks. Usually I put them all out at a premium selection. I try to write which ones are my favorite, so I would recommend if you are going to buy me that you read the write-ups, because I do list this is my favorite play. More times than not, it's the weather play or my 5-star play. You got to come up with names for different things. I think I have personal favorite, bombs away, MLB steal. You're trying to come up with things to call your plays when really I just wanted to go play 1, play 2, play 3, and list them in order that I like them. But yeah, so there's premium plays over there. I run a triple play, which is my favorite 3 plays on the day. I usually have one of those every day. I don't always have what I call my 5-run homer, which is my 5 plays for the day. So you can check that out. Check out any of the cappers. There's a lot of guys that are on fire right now, and plenty to choose from. And the best thing is you get to pick who you want if you want somebody over there. Definitely check out all the other shows. Appreciate the people that have been checking out the Lowdown and commenting. As I said earlier in this video, I will come back in the morning and I'll post what the weather algorithm spits out for that day, where their leans are. It does not mean I'm on all those games, and it does not mean to bet all those games. I use this as an addition to my handicapping, and when I match up, that's where I place my wager. So good luck to you guys. Hope you win some cash. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then.